connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena. Yes, on a Monday night, and can you believe it? We are halfway through the NFL season, and some teams are where we anticipated them being. Other teams are trying to get on the come up. And then there are some teams who I said earlier today, in my opinion, truly should be just looking at the 2025 NFL draft and be scouting new talent. And we'll talk about one of those teams here tonight. But you know what? It does my heart good whenever I can come on the show and talk about the team that I love. And y'all know which team I'm talking about. That is, in fact, my Philadelphia Eagles. Why? Because even though they were at one point up 22 points over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Doug Peterson's return to Philadelphia, they allowed Jacksonville to make it a game, even though the Eagles did come away with a victory, 28-23. Thank you to Devontae Smith for the one-handed catch. Most definitely necessary. But more importantly than that, of course, as everybody has been talking about, the backwards hurdle that Saquon Barkley, our running back from Penn State University, did over Jones of the Jaguars. Let me just say, everybody has tried to make some sense of what took place yesterday in that particular play. You can't. Okay? That's just Saquon being Saquon when he has an offensive line that protects him. Now, what I will say, as you see on the screen, are the Eagles on the come up. This is a team last year that started the season 10-1, then lost 6 out of their last 7, barely squeaking out a win on Christmas. But now this team has started to kind of get themselves back into what we anticipated or what we thought they could be after losing to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I am one of the biggest fans, yet I am also one of the hardest critics because I know what this team is capable of. I have watched them day in and day out, week in and week out, every single NFL season. I've seen us at our highs, and yes, I say us because I am one of them, and I've seen us at our lows, Chip Kelly. But I digress. What the Eagles showed to me yesterday is reminiscent of what I've seen them do in the past, which is they get out to an early lead and they force the opposition to come up. Meanwhile, they control the clock. They control the tempo. They control the ball movement. And yes, if you add in and factor in the brotherly shove, as I call it, we, the Philadelphia Eagles, the team, play 4 downs. That's what you got them for. We're not doing 3 and a punt. If it's 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, 4th and 1, y'all already know what's coming. and it has proven to be effective 92% of the time. Shout out to the New Heights podcast. But again, looking at a game like this, I have to question why? What went wrong that made you allow Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Jaguars, an opportunity to give them some light, give them some hope of actually maybe coming back and winning this game? That's what I don't understand. Where was the disconnect? Where was my defense? Where did y'all go? Because in the first half, y'all was just running every which way you wanted to and having your way with Trevor Lawrence and ATN and Christian Kirk and the rest of the squad. However, in the second half, there just seems to be this tale of two teams with regards to the Philadelphia Eagles. Granted, second place in the NFC East, sitting at 6-2 behind the Washington Commanders. Are the Eagles on the come up? Well, great question. Looking at their schedule, okay? Of course, next Sunday, 4:25. What is it? It's a game that I love and hate all in the same breath. Why? Because they're playing the Cowboys. And it's in Jerry World. The one place I will not go. I've said this several times. The only way you will ever see me in Jerry World is if it is an NFC Championship game and Philly has to go to Dallas, and we will break their hearts yet again to get back to Super Bowl. Other than that, I don't care if Jerry gives me free tickets for life. I'm not going. That's just the guy that I am. I'll give them away. Go. Have a great time. I don't care. But anyhow, we've got the Cowboys. Then on a short week, we are home to the first place NFC East Washington Commanders. Then we travel to Los Angeles to face Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Oh, and you think it gets better for us? No, not really. Then we got to go to Baltimore to face Lamar Jackson and King Henry and Zay Flowers. The Panthers, I'll talk about the Steelers, and then we go into divisional play the last three games. But again, are they on the come up? Yes. Do they have the opportunity to get the job done and beat these teams? It stands to reason. But we're on a win streak. And sometimes momentum can be a huge benefactor. Now, we do know that A.J. Brown is on a day-to-day with his knee. And shout out to the brother because we know he's a warrior. We know he's going to be there when we need him to. But I need AJ for the long haul. I need AJ in December, January, rolling into New Orleans. That's what I need. Because listen, we got Jahan Dotson. We still got Devontae Adams. We've got Calcaterra. Can we utilize them weapons? I mean, listen, we are doing what we need to do with Saquon. And thank goodness that brother is remaining upright because it is a beautiful thing to watch. When Saquon Barkley gets the ball and just is trucking people. I don't need to see another backwards hurdle. If I do, hey, great, thank you. But honestly, don't really need to see that. Don't injure your back. I'm thankful that the brother is strong enough and can hold it down like that. But on the come up for me right now, I think speaks to how we progress, how Philadelphia progresses these next few weeks. And of course, it does start because, listen, I don't take Dallas lightly. I don't care how good or bad they are. I never, ever take Dallas lightly. Shout out to my man Dom in the comments saying that if Tampa beats Kansas City tonight, Detroit is officially the best team in the NFL. Well, Dom, I'll say whether Tampa wins or doesn't win tonight, the record speaks to one thing. But what we've seen the Detroit Lions do is something completely different. I would argue to say that they are currently, as it stands right now, the best team in the NFL because of what they are able to do. And I'll talk about Detroit in a minute. But when I talk about the Eagles, as y'all know, I got to be somewhat fair, but not really. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Are they done for the season? Dak is sidelined. We don't know what his timetable is to return. Yes, there are reports that Micah Parsons could be coming back. Another Penn State guy, to all my Penn State football players, y'all got 31 teams you can go play for. Why y'all going to Dallas? I just don't get it. Sean Lee did it. Micah Parsons did it. Others said, don't go there. Go to any other team. Just don't go to Dallas. It breaks my heart. It really does. I understand y'all look good in that dark blue. Trust me. But it's Penn State blue, not Dallas blue. I digress. Dallas is truly the walking piece of mediocrity as an organization. Because as a fan base, y'all are just horrible. Okay? Y'all still have hope that this team is going to finish out the season 12-5. Y'all got to run the table. Please do not fall into that delusion that you are going to somehow, without Dak Prescott, are going to be able to find a way to run the table. Because it just ain't going to happen. I got love for Cooper Rush, and if you throw Trey Lance in there every once in a while, throw the brother a bone, whatever you decide to do, that's fine. But you're not at 100%. Now, we have seen in the past that when backup quarterbacks come in, the team galvanizes and rallies and gets behind this guy, and they are going to go that extra mile to protect their backup quarterback. So I do anticipate that Cooper Rush will have some good games. And of course, the talk will always be, well, look what he can do, look what he has, blah, blah. I understand that. But not having Dak Prescott under center can cause your team to not be who you want them to be. Cooper Rush is good, but he's not Dak Prescott. Being done for the season, what I mean by that when I say that is simply this. I feel like this team who has visions of ascending to the NFC Championship game, a place they haven't been in 20-some years, a place that they look at and it's like you can see it, you just can't grab hold of it. And as much as I would love nothing more than to see Dallas get to an NFC Championship game and get beat like they did against Detroit 47-9, the reality of the situation is this team is falling apart and we are watching the implosion. Now, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Until Jerry and or Stephen Jones give up managerial, general manager control of that team to a person who can manage not only the team, but also the organization, under Jerry and Stephen, of course, Dallas is just going to be mediocre at best. We saw that with Jason Garrett. What were they? 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 9-7, maybe 1 year. Now, yes, under Mike McCarthy, 12-5, 12-5, and you have slowly progressed past the first round of the postseason. But again, last year, we go back and we look and we say to ourselves, that was their year. If there was ever a moment for me to just be wildly disgusted with the Dallas Cowboys because of the success that they were having, it was last year. Thank goodness Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers just decided, well, guess what? We going to roll into Jerry World. We going to run all over them. And we're going to remind Mike McCarthy, see, if you stayed with us, you might have been a little better off. But you're not. That's okay. We got Matt LaFleur. Here's where we're at. Goodbye, Dallas. That's what I mean when I say they're done for the season. We know who they are. You know their game plan. The blueprint has been laid out. And Dallas can get got. It doesn't matter whether they are on the road or if they are home. Simple. Enough said. Dom, I love you. I know it is very difficult for me to do that. But I've learned in my age that sometimes You have to not only know your audience, but you also have to know your enemy. You know who I'm talking about. And shout out to our brother. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we? The Ravens. Baltimore. I mean, we saw what they did yesterday when Bo Nix and Sean Payton, Cortland Sutton, and the Denver Broncos, came to Baltimore. They just got knocked out. I mean, Bo Nix, you a rookie. You are going to be something that people are going to, you are going to be a young man that people are going to watch. But you came to Baltimore, bro, and you went to the woodshed, my brother, and you were not victorious. And it wasn't just you. I'm just saying, as the quarterback of that team, y'all take all the praise. You got to take all the blame. But Lamar Jackson, King Henry, with a milestone of his own yesterday, becomes the 10th player in NFL history scoring 100 career rushing touchdowns. Let's take a moment and make sure we give King Henry his flowers for doing such a phenomenal feat. Congratulations to him. But again, Baltimore, these teams in the AFC, the Kansas Cities of the world, the Baltimores of the world, the Buffaloes of the world. I want to throw Cincinnati in the mix. However, I still got to see it because in the month of September, Cincinnati just don't seem to have their stuff together. But then once October hits and we roll into November, it's like it's a tale of two teams. And I know I'm missing, people are like, well, what about Miami? And what about the Chargers? And I mean, when you look at the AFC South, come on now. I love Antonio Richardson, but can the brother play a full game? You got Joe Flacco now starting. Houston is the only team under C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryan as the head coach. That's theirs to lose. And I don't see them losing. Yes, they lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets on Halloween. So let's acknowledge that the fact that the Jets are still relevant, if you will. They're not Cleveland. Yes, I said it, and I'll continue to say it. Browns are horrible. You have one great week under Jameis Winston, and then all of a sudden you think that that's going to be the saving grace. Come on, cut it out. We know that story. Flash in the pan. That's what it is. He too busy eating W's. Has he matured? Yes, a little bit. But let's call it what it is. Cleveland wouldn't be relevant if it wasn't for Myles Garrett. Why do you think Amari Cooper got the hell up out of Dodge and went to Buffalo? Why do you think other players have always talked about, you go to Cleveland's where you go when your career is over? Joe Flacco tried to make them relevant and had come out of retirement to make them relevant. But with the Ravens, I have sorely wanted them to make the Super Bowl just because of Lamar Jackson, because the man stands on his own. He does things his way. And even though the goalpost continually moves with this brother, he continually finds a way to get to the 1 yard line. We just need him to cross over it. I look at Baltimore and let's check out their schedule because honestly, I'm going to be real with y'all. They are a team that I want them to meet up with Patrick Mahomes in the postseason because I truly believe if at the right moment, of course, as people say, right moment, right time, any given Sunday, whatever, I understand that. But I feel as though between Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and I'll even throw Herbert in there. Between those four, I feel as though we've seen Joe Burrow do it, but I think Lamar can do it as well. Looking at the rest of their schedule, all right? They got a short week, AFC North divisional opponent. They got to go face, Joe Cool and the crew come to Baltimore. Then they got the Steelers. Then they got the Chargers. Then they got us, the Eagles. So, I mean, listen, that's even before their bye. They got a late bye, week 14. They got to go through this. They got a Thursday primetime matchup on Amazon Prime. Then they got a 1 o'clock game against the Steelers. Then they got Monday Night Football on ESPN against the Chargers. And then they've got arguably a America's Game of the Week, I hope, versus the Eagles on December 1st. And then they've got their bye. So Baltimore can make it. But the consistency definitely needs to be there in order for them to maintain. And that is my biggest hope with them. Let's see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I do want to talk about a team that made a major change this morning. And I'm simply going to ask the question, where do they go from now? I'll talk to y'all in just a minute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Your man, Eric Wilson, for the Sports Arena. Yes, on a Monday night. Continuing on here. And again, the team that I want to talk about, because they made major changes this morning. The New Orleans Saints. What do they do now? They fired Dennis Allen after 3 seasons. Well, 2.5, if you will. This was a team, remind y'all, started this NFL season putting up 40 on teams, okay? Had scored 91 points in the first 2 games of the regular season. And people were talking about the Saints like, oh, here we go. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. This is the team in the NFC South. Because we knew it wasn't going to be Carolina. And Atlanta with Kirk Cousins, you know. We thought it was going to be a 2-headed race between the Bucs and the Saints. That didn't happen. You win the first 2 and then can't win the next 7? 7. Y'all couldn't pull out any victories. And now Chris Olave is out. Prayers up for him that he gets healthy and can recover and come back. But you fired Dennis Allen. You've got your interim head coach. What now? This is one of those teams that I say, you know what, fellas? Y'all might just want to do your best. I'm sorry, Cam Jordan. But y'all might just want to do whatever you can do, but start preparing for next season. Because I just don't see it. Again, a team that y'all lost to the Carolina Panthers under Bryce Young at center. Come on now. This is the young man who got benched for Andy Dalton. And because of an injury, now Bryce Young is back. And between him, Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, and then that defense, they found a way to beat y'all. I get it. NFC divisional matchups, listen, I'll be the first to say it. I always have and I always will. Throw the playbook, the rule book, and every other book out the window because anything and everything can happen. But this was one game where I was like, nah, Saints ain't losing this game. They about to get win number 3. Nope. Instead, everybody in Raleigh is cheering and partying because the Carolina Panthers won a doggone game yesterday. 23-22. Okay? Like, I don't know where the Saints can go from here, but something has got to change. Derek Carr losing to all 31 teams. Think about that for a minute. We typically celebrate when a quarterback beats all 32 teams. Derek Carr has lost to 31 different teams. Let that marinate for a minute. I really wish that the New Orleans Saints moving forward find a way to pull out some victories. However, what I will tell you is I look at their schedule. The Falcons, the Browns, then they have their bye week. The Rams, the Giants, the Washington Commanders, the Packers, the Raiders, and then the Bucks. I look at this schedule, and let me be honest with y'all. Taking all biases out of the way, okay? You're not beating the Falcons. You might beat the Browns. Then you got your bye week. Rams, I don't know. Maybe because it's home. You should beat the Giants. You're not beating the Commanders. You're not beating the Packers. Raiders, listen, I love Antonio Pearson. I really hope that they find a way to get themselves together. And then you end here in Tampa against the Buccaneers, which you're not winning that game. That's why I say, Saints, y'all might want to put your scouting team out there and start trying to find whatever pieces you need to get this team back to a level of at least vying for a divisional crown. I'll leave it at that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's switch gears because y'all know I love me some WNBA, and it is open season. Let me just say that. You have teams that are making, I think we now have four out of the 12 teams still without a head coach. But we do know two that have come through. One, Stephanie White, the new head coach of the Indiana Fever. Now, Stephanie was a part of the squad in, I believe, 2009 to 2012. She has graduated and elevated herself to the level. She replaced Kurt Miller as the head coach of the Connecticut Sun, a team that I still say is one of the most underrated teams in the entire W, yet they continually find a way to win. They have their own internal struggles that they deal with from a player, coach, organization, stuff that it would take too long on this episode of the Sports Arena for me to get into. But at some point, I will dive into those. That might be a rant to follow. But now, Stephanie White, the new head coach of the Fever. What this says to me is Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, now paired with Stephanie White, are on a mission to make Indiana that team that people are going to truly put respect on with regard to that entire squad. Because we've seen that Connecticut didn't skip a beat after Kurt Miller left. The Sun just kept going and going and going continually every single year. Top four in the playoffs, in the postseason, vying for a championship. New York, LA, Phoenix. Those were teams that we just knew were going to be a part of the conversation. Connecticut was also one of those teams with people still, in my opinion. And please, that's what I say. Show me the articles, the interviews, where Connecticut got the same amount of love that some of these other teams did when they went out and got premier stars. Because DeWanna Bonner, Jasmine Thomas, Alyssa Thomas, these are superstars. Dejanay Carrington was there this season, and now she done moved out to Vegas. Now she's an Aces. So what does that tell you? That there's something within that organization that keeps some players there, but others are there for a moment. But now Stephanie White, she has a true task in front of her. Because as we know, the Caitlin Clark effect happened in the WNBA. Now you bring in Stephanie White, a head coach with a proven track record of taking teams to the next level. So the task is on them to see what they can do. What I will say to you is this: the anticipation for the next season of the WNBA with this coaching change, oh, please believe targets are already on their backs and the weights just got a little bit heavier. This one I like. This coaching change I really like. Tyler Marsh, the new head coach of the Chicago Sky. Angel Reese, the Black Barbie, she already on X talking to Mrs. Marsh, and they're already formed that relationship. What this says to me is his pedigree of being an assistant coach, being in the NBA and also in the WNBA, coming from that Becky Hammon tree, which is already sprouting because the new head coach of the Golden State Valkyries came from Becky Hammon and the Las Vegas Aces, and now Tyler Marsh, the new head coach of the Chicago Sky. Why do I like this? Well, let's take the obvious answer. We get to see another Black male head coach in that position. And as someone who, at one point in time, let me remind y'all, as I love to do so much here on the show, give me 1 second, please. Don't know if y'all can see this, but as always, I love showing this picture. See the last time Black head coach was of the Chicago Sky? What's that on his shirt? Oh, yeah, it says champions. So, there is a bit of a tall task. I don't feel that Teresa Witherspoon got a fair deal in Chicago. But again, another conversation for another time. But Tyler Marsh, taking what he knows, taking what he has learned, taking what he has developed to advance the Chicago Sky and bring them to a potential playoff, albeit second round, maybe even possibly a WNBA final. Wouldn't it be something if the Chicago Sky were to win another championship under the head coach who just happens to be a Black male? Just something to think about. But it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the coaching carousel, if you will, plays out. And we look and see what these teams are going to look like. Because mind you, you do have the start of the unrivaled league. We have the 6 teams that have been named, and we just found out from one of the owners, Minnesota player Napheesa Collar, that they went from 30 to 36, giving 6 more women an opportunity to play in this league. The clubs, you have the Laces, the Mist, the Phantom, the Lunar Owls, the Rose, and the Vinyl. Each one of them will have 6 players on their team in the 3-on-3 competition. Again, slated to kick off in January down in the 305. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the sports arena for tonight. Your man, Eric Wilson. Thank you so much for being a part. Shout out to my people in the comments, tuning and chiming in. I will talk to y'all soon. Everybody stay blessed, and we will see you next Monday night. Peace.
flame when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.